Community Redevelopment Association to order at 6:36 p.m. All please rise. Does any member have an issue with not doing another invocation since we did one?
No, we
20
just
minutes
did
ago?
it.
Okay.
We just did it.
Same with the Pledge of Allegiance?
No, you gotta do the pledge.
All right.
Gotta do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, if we could have another roll call.
Mayor Evans?
Here.
Vice Mayor Jameson?
Here.
Member James?
Here.
Member Williams?
This time I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
The minutes?
Second.
No, before you.
Approval of minutes.
Agenda? Okay.
Yeah, we gotta do the agenda before the
Okay,
minutes.
I second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries. This time I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of the July 7th, 2016 meeting.
Okay. I'll make a motion that the minutes be approved as written with one exception, and that's on the very first page. Approval of minutes from last time.
Mm-hmm.
Our vice chair is Mr. Jameson.
What you got?
They have the vice chair, Jane, because she's the vice mayor. See, y'all are just too much into vice. That's what it is. You want the second? All right. A motion and a second to approve the minutes with the change as mentioned. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay. All right, business items. We're going to consider approval of the following residential facade grants. I'll turn the meeting over to our director. More informed about the different grants.
All right, these are residential facade grants. In May, you guys voted to increase the amount that could be awarded from $1,000 to $5,000. So we sent out a letter to all the residents, and we got 6 responses that they are putting in application for their grant. As a notice, none of them are in the historic district except for one, so only one was required to get the certificate of appropriateness, which they did, and I'll mention when they get there. Mm-hmm. All the rest are not in the historic district, so they are not under those requirements. Our first one is John Kennedy. Or not John Kennedy. Yes, John Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy. So they are here today. Would you like to come up while I present what you would like to do? Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy reside at 18757 Northwest 238th Street, or right behind the Public Works building.
Okay. Right around the corner.
Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy were awarded a grant back in 2014, but they were never notified that they received that grant until January of 2015, at which time they could not do the matching. So when we reopened this up, they applied again for a grant. And what they are asking to do is replace an existing roof with a new metal roof, and it's the same product, Galavium. Mr. Thomason, our building inspector, went out and took a look at it, and he has included a letter describing what his recommendation is. This is for the Kennedy's use, but also yours, to know what he is recommending as well, which I believe one of the contractors is planning on doing that. The other one, he wasn't sure.
All the appropriate documents and everything were turned in.
Correct.
Is that why?
Mhm.
Is that why one of the grant that they're applying for, it looks like it's a $10,800 bid,
Correct.
but the other bid was for $8,600.
Correct.
Is that why they're applying? What was the difference in what one was going to do versus the other?
Okay. So there is a letter in your packet. I will try to explain, but I had Scott try to explain it to me. I'm not a building contractor. But it had something to do with the spacing in between, the spacing. Yes, yes. And Mr. Kennedy can probably explain it a lot better than me.
So one bid was they were just going to apply directly to the roof.
Well,
and
there
the
are
other
other-
one where they were going to have the
Yeah.
flooring boards.
Yeah, they were
underneath.
gonna have to replace some purlin boards or respace them,
Okay.
so they would be up
The
to
back
code.
half part of the house that was added on,
Uh-huh.
the purling boards are a little further away,
Okay.
but we couldn't find anything in all the place. I spent about half hour, 45 minutes in the office with Scott. I went next door, had him come out, I knew that. We checked everything out. And, he had told me, they looked good, and, the ones in the back of the house were maybe a little bit long. That's the only difference.
If I understood the letter right, he was pretty much saying that the higher bid would be the way to go as far as.
In his
What would be
perspective, yes.
best? Okay.
And they are in the historic district. They are the one, and they have received their certificate of appropriateness. They are not changing the material of the roof or the color. They are just replacing it with the same material.
I'll make a motion, we accept the application from the Kennedys to replace the roof.
Second.
Do we need to stipulate up to 5,000 in case for some reason that it was less than that?
It is 50% of the actual cost up to $5,000. That is what is stated in the agreement.
Okay, so we don't have to.
No.
Make a motion. Okay.
If it's less, you give less.
Well, if it's less, y'all give us the difference back. I'm just kidding. Nobody pays me attention. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the John Kennedy grant application. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Our next one is Mr. and Mrs. Breheny, Ian and Stacy. Miss Stacy is here today. Would you like to come up while I discuss it? No, you didn't? Okay. We had two in the historic, I'm sorry. We had two there. She does have her certificate of appropriateness. She is correct.
What'd you say?
She's also in the historic district. They have applied for it. It's not in there because I did not have it back yet. That's why it is not in there. It had not been approved as of Monday, but it has been approved. When I sent this out, it hadn't been, but it has been now.
Okay.
They are asking to replace rotted trim and siding, repaint the house exterior. Actually, you are not in the historic district. I double checked. I drove by this house because I thought it was in the historic district too, but you're not. That's why I put you down that you're not. So you're not. So now you know.
don't have to worry if you change the paint today, it's 90 days from what we put in on that.
Well, if you explain it to them now the board probably wants you to stick to the color that you choose or basic color you choose, but yes, you're not in the historic district. You are one block outside the historic district. So they want to replace rotted trim and siding, repaint house exterior. They are planning to replace the trim and siding themselves, and they will have a painting contractor clean and repaint the house. And they have their quotes attached. And so I met with Mr. Thomason on all of these also, and they are going to be required to get a permit if you replace more than 100 square feet of siding, just so you're aware of that, okay? 100 square feet. And looking at the pictures, Mr. Thomason believed there probably will be more than 100 square feet of siding, just looking at what you had shown as far as the rotting siding. So you probably will need to get a permit for that.
All the paperwork's been turned in, there's no
Yes.
issues, because I just want to ask that question on each one of them, because we.
Yes, absolutely.
that is
No,
one of
I
the-
have all their paperwork. They turned in their quotes. Like I said, they're not in the historic district, so they're not required to have that. And
I don't want to come back and.
Correct.
All of a
No.
sudden, we're having to retro this thing.
I went and checked every house
Okay.
and made sure they're not.
All right.
You said you were talking about changing the color you were talking about, or were you talking about putting it on purple?
No, our house is gray with white trim and dark green or teal colored like edging on the window screens, and sort of an aqua green under the roof, the old fashioned style. And we're basically gonna duplicate it, but when I went to Lowe's and got the chips, the gray body color of the house I couldn't find exactly. And both painting contractor, I mean, so we're talking about changing from like pearl gray to dove gray, you know what I mean, or something like that. Dove. You know what I mean, but it's gonna be the same as it is now.
That may be a deal breaker.
Anything but dove gray, that should be on that.
I'll make a motion, we approve the grant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Ian and Stacy
Great.
grant application. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
You can go. Our next application is from Elaine Gudbranson. Ms. Gudbranson is asking to replace the existing shutters on her home with shutters that fit the exterior windows. If you look at the pictures, you will see that none of the shutters fit exactly on there. In talking to Mr. Thomason, she is not required to have a permit to do that. And she is requesting $600.
Everything's, once again,
Yes.
I know it sounds redundant.
Nope. She is not in the historic district, and
Everything-
she's not required to have a
everything
permit. Everything's good.
Any other questions?
No.
Approve.
How you want me, we all in agreement?
Well, I think you have to make a motion.
I know, I'm asking, we all in agreement with what we need. That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
All right, then I'll make a motion that the application for Elaine be approved.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the application submitted by Ms. Lane. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next application is from Jerry Gardner. And Mr. Gardner has already made a lot of improvements to his home, both inside and out, and he is coming to us with this other project that he is planning on doing. He's planning on enclosing an existing front porch and adding a new front porch, extending the entire front of the house, relocating existing front door and windows to new porch, install railing, paint house light blue with blue trim, and I'm not sure how well the paint sample went through, so I have the actual color if you guys would like to see it.
Oh my God, it's dove gray.
If you want to hit them, you can.
So I did talk to Mr. Thomason, who is very well aware of Mr. Gardner's plans, as Mr. Gardner has already been doing a lot of work on his house, and he had very positive things to say about the work that Mr. Gardner has done. He's very impressed, and he will be required to have a permit for this work.
not in the historic district.
No, he's not.
I'm actually right across the street from Stacy.
Yes. And they're right across the street from the historic district.
Oh,
Member Scott, would you like to go ahead and ask you?
All the documents have been filed.
Yes, they have.
Everything's on- Everything, there's no issues,
No issues.
permits or anything like this, everything's good
No,
to go.
all of his permits he's had done so far have been correct, and the contractor will be the one that pulls the permits.
And we've got that in the agreement that all of the grant recipients will sign. It reiterates that they all have to pull
Yes,
applicable
I-
permits and pay permits.
The reason I'm asking, I just don't want a last minute surprise where all of a sudden the applicant is sitting. That happened once with us, and that's all, I'm just trying to get paranoid, I just wanna make sure you don't get blindsided with something. So I make a motion that we approve the grant for the garden.
second.
Motion and a second to approve the grant from Mr. Gary Gardner. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Our next application is from Delilah Fields. And on Miss Fields' application, you'll see that I put her old address, and that is because if you Google the new address, it is not in the it is not in the CRA, but I went and looked, it is definitely in the CRA, it's just Google is wrong. So, so that is why. She is looking to replace her windows, repaint, and replace gutters. You'll see also in there that she only has one quote for the gutters, and that's because she's called several and only had one that would actually come out and give her a quote. So we don't have two for the gutters.
Is that good enough for the?
Yeah, as long as that, I'm okay with you waiving that if she's made the effort to get other
She
contractors out, she solicited it and wasn't able to provide it.
I'm sure if you offered $500.
And I talked to Mr. Thomason. He said that she will be required to get a permit for the windows, but not the gutters.
Not the gutters.
No, not the paint, because she doesn't need a permit for the paint, and she's painting it white. That's why it's not in there. It's the same color. Although it might be a different white, but you know.
You scared them away, man.
Just one question I have. We've given out a little, well, all in all will be a little north of 25.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. Yes, we had 34,000 available for the facade grants.
I'll make a motion to give it to her. And grant the request, let me rephrase that. You're up.
We have a motion and a second to approve the grant application from Ms. Fields. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Good luck, man.
I'll give you a call. And our final one is for Ruth Ann Knoll, and she is requesting to put in new windows. Oh, and repaint. Sorry, I didn't put it in there, but it is in the.
What color, ma'am? What color?
Exactly.
It's not very.
It's a little
We're
darker
sort of
than-
beating this to death, aren't we? I said dead. With their feathers, they go a darker
Oh,
color.
this has been laying for a
Yeah,
couple days,
exactly.
yeah.
Don't worry about us. We're just here.
All right. Miss Knoll is not the owner. Her brother is, so this is on behalf of him. He has given approval for the grant, and he will be signing the owner's consent before the grant is put through. Yes.
So you would like to be done to sign?
Yeah, that's what we planned. We have some things on and he's our youngest brother.
And they are requesting $4,822.50.
Did you say permitting they need permitting at all
Yes, they will need permitting for the windows.
for the windows and all the other documents are in, everything's good?
Correct.
The only thing that you're gonna need now is he's going to have to sign off prior to this. The owner has to sign off.
Correct.
The brother will have to.
Correct. And that's also in the agreement that he will be in there.
Prior to approval.
No, not prior to
Right.
approval.
Right, okay.
And that's when, he turns in.
Correct.
Okay. Then I will make a motion that this application from Ms. Noel be
Second?
A motion and a second to approve the application from Ms. Knoll. Wait a minute, we got a motion. No, I'm kidding. On behalf of her brother, Ken Davis, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay. Understand we're gonna have a CRA extension update as well?
Correct. The fun part's done, no. So as we mentioned the last time, the interlocal was signed. It went into effect and all that. And the county is now needing to approve our plan. At the last commission, or one of the commission meetings, they had stated that they want to see a decrease in operating expenses. I think that's how they put it. I don't have the exact wording in front of me. So they came up with a proposal that no more than 20% of all funds deposited into the CRA trust fund be used for administrative and overhead expenses. That is really limiting. So our proposal back to them would be that no more than 30% of the annual operating budget be for administrative expenses. The 20% that they are requesting would include all overhead, and that's just not doable by any CRA that I have researched. So that would include your attorney's fees, your paper, your everything. And it's just, we feel that that is just not attainable.
So 30% you're proposing, is that everything all inclusive too, or is that just the director's side?
Well, we're going to start with just the directors, but we're believing they're probably going to come back and want to negotiate that. But that's our starting place.
If we do go 30% and all inclusive, would that cover your salary, attorney fees, and all that type of stuff?
30%, it should. I have to look at it again. And we'd definitely want to put in there the operating budget. The way they would like it worded is that revenues, but they're not including anything that's rolled over as a revenue. They're also not including what the city puts in, that $40,000, as the revenue either. So they would like to, what they're asking is 20% of about $150,000 for all operating, and that's just not doable. But if we did it on the operating budget, then yes, we would be under. Our operating budget this year,
I mean, even if we did it on the operating budget at 20% for 5 years, would be okay, but then it would be $40,000 less. I think that might cause an issue.
correct. And this is, well, in the operating budget, what we can include is also any grants that we receive. The way they are wording it, we could only include the grants for that year. And then the next year, even if we have the grant funding still, they would not count that as revenue because it wouldn't be new revenue put in. So we definitely want it worded operating budget and not revenue.
I think you need anything from us at this time, just let us know what y'all, I mean, I think all of us are comfortable with what y'all are telling us would be counted.
Right, yeah, I mean, you can make a motion tonight, but if we just hear consensus to go back, and that's, when the county proposed this, county staff, this hasn't gone to the county commission. As you know, the county commission raised the issue that we have a problem with thinking the administrative costs are too high. They sent their staff back to come up with a solution. Their staff approached us, and so their staff is open to us coming back and working with that language, and then it would still need to come back to both commissions and CRA to adopt. But our plan would be that we would include this cap language in our plan and then send the plan for approval. We need to know if this isn't going to work for you, because we don't want to send something over that's unacceptable to you.
I think that it would make sense to me with their most recent remarks that if we reduce the amount of money that we can use for administrative costs, then obviously the move to having their proposal becomes more sense, where they would oversee the CRAs. My understanding is at their meeting they wanted to oversee each of them. If you constrain each city to the point that they can't afford it, I can't get anybody for that, then the bottom line is, by simply attrition or so forth, you would have to. So I think we need to make sure, and I trust the two of you guys on this one, is to make sure that what we put forth works for us. We're not trying to hammer anybody. We're not trying to do anything else. What works for us within the scheme of what we're doing.
Correct.
So I trust you guys to do that.
That's my feeling as well.
I agree.
So I would say this, let me do this. I make a motion to authorize the director and Courtney to negotiate the administrative fee schedule with the county.
We have a motion and a second to authorize our director and our attorney to negotiate with the county in reference to the fee schedule. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Also, their staff has been reviewing our CRA plan. They don't have any substantive changes that they would like to see made, comments. Of course, they have comments, but nothing as far as the initiatives. The main comments from the county that they have, well, one person at the county, is they would like to see our language match our comprehensive plan. I am strongly against that because they're two standalone documents. So that is what I am presenting, that we are the CRA, we are not the city of High Springs, and so our language should not match verbatim the comprehensive plan. They do work together, and there's nothing contradictory in our CRA plan, but I don't think that we should have the same vision as the comprehensive plan and the same language, because the comprehensive plan can change, and so can the CRA plan, and they change independent of each other. And so I'm not in favor of them wanting us to use the same language. Besides that, that is the only
What's the reasoning behind? I mean, are they just trying to nitpick every little aspect?
Every little thing.
yes, and I think they would like to honestly kind of constrain us. If they can say that, this is what your comprehensive plan says, your CRA plan needs to keep the same, well, now you're going to have a more difficult time changing your comprehensive plan and your CRA plan. Mm-hmm. So that's why I want to keep those two separate. There's nothing contradicting in either one. They're very much in unison, but they're not exact. I like that way. I like it that way.
If they're standalone documents, what's the point in having them verbally to say the same thing?
I don't know
Makes no
why
sense to me.
they're making such a big point of that.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing that I could take away, is that's why they would want it. And then they want the interlocal added as in the appendix, which is fine. We have no problem with that. Correct. They also would like to see us do a detailed list of what our projects are going to do. Again, this is because if we have a detailed and then we want to change it, they are going to make us go and get a new plan. So they're trying to make it as detailed as we can, but state statute says it does not have to be. So that is going to be our position. These are what we put forth as what we're planning to do. But no, we're not going to put timelines. We're not going to make it very, right now we have estimates. They would like to see more firm numbers. But again, that is because they want to make it that if we change anything, we have to go back to them and get approval and change our plan. So they're trying to make it very narrow, and we want to keep it as broad as we can. So that, in their comments, that is the only things that they had. So it's not as bad as it could be.
I guess I would probably use different language on the thing. And I can almost understand jiving the two. You don't want the comprehensive plan going this way and then the CR go like this. I would venture to say that the angle is more of a micromanagement type of thing, where they in essence want to control what each individual city does.
Correct.
I'm giving you the money, we're going to determine. I gather that's the deal. So if you change your budget something, they want to have final say so to basically.
Correct.
I think it's a legitimate area that you need to stand somewhat firm on. Is look, you're going to do this. We're allocating $75,000. So some point in time, you have to trust the people what they're doing. If not, you have people out here they're watching. I mean, they're making sure that we do the right thing. At some point in time, at least this is my philosophy on this, but you trust the people who are making decisions, and at such point in time you don't trust, you get rid of them.
Correct.
So, you know, I think it's a way to micromanage, have the cities sort of beholden. I would say stand strong.
I would say the same thing. It's probably a little less complicated.
So that is it as far as our CRA extension. They wanted us to get all the changes to them by August 8th, but going on vacation, us meeting now, the commission won't have another chance. So we are looking at our plan will not go on to their agenda before the end of September. They need a month from the time we submit everything to get it onto their.
Whatever they can come up with as an obstacle. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sure, cool. I guess my only question at this point, talking about the salary of the director and everything, what would be y'all's, I guess at the next meeting, would y'all like to just talk about that at that point in time? Would y'all like to maybe direct her to come up with some different ideas as far as compensation, hours, that type of deal, to kind of give us an idea of everybody? So we're a little further along in what's.
I would put it as a point of discussion where we have all, and I agree with your initial thing. I'd like to have the two other people. I don't want three people making a decision. I would put it on the next one for discussion. And I would simply tell Amanda to, I think, be ready to take what your hourly wage is. Don't want it this way. Take what your hourly wage, and then we can start matching it up with hours or something, and at least you'd have some math that you could sit there and you could do it, and just be prepared. And then the other two may have some other ideas and discussion points. So I would put that on. Good point.
As a council.
Okay. you'll obviously be there at the commission meeting and be able to answer questions.
Correct.
That's okay. That's perfect.
We'll talk about that at the city commission meeting, and then if it doesn't get resolved, we
And
can
you
put it
get
on the
tabled.
next
Right.
CRA meeting. That was my only question. Madam Executive Director, have you got any reports or anything else?
I do. Lydia Nunes, who we gave a grant to, she contacted me in this past month to let me know that she's planning on selling her building that we had given her a grant to. She,
The white.
she is aware that she will be paying back the prorated portion of the grant. It's just, she can't afford it, so she is looking to sell it. It's a slow market. I don't think it is going to sell very fast, but she did let us know before she put it on the market. She was planning on doing that.
Question, if that does happen, so she pays us back,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I know within a certain amount of time, we have to spend the funds that are allocated to us. Does that go back to when it was spent, or does that go back, does it count when it comes to us again?
You just have to earmark it for a project in the next 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, that's be the intention. So for something like this, I think probably the most likely is if you got money back from a grant, that you put it back in the grant.
I was approached by Visit Gainesville that they would like to help us with Music in the Park series and Folk in the Springs. So I will be meeting with them, but they would like to provide some marketing dollars for us and marketing support, which is fantastic. Michael Loveday's been doing a fantastic job of making the event bigger this year and better with using less funds. He's partnered with the North Florida Blues Society and the North Florida Folk something. And so instead of Music in the Park, paying a bulk of the cost, and he's getting it, they're actually splitting the cost from all three. So we're going to get a better show for actually less money. So, and now Visit Gainesville, with wanting to take on some of the marketing, it'll be even better. The Moms program is going very well over at the Smithsonian. I see Miss James every week over there. We have had a lot of visitors over there. I don't even know how many, but I would gather probably close to 2,000 by now. People, I mean.
Most definitely.
Yeah, it's steady. And my office is hopping now. I'm used to having nobody in the building, and now every day there's,
Now you hear voices and it's like.
Now I have to remember to shut my door if I'm on the phone.
Yep.
So that's going well. We do have a new intern starting the end of August. We had one over the summer who did a fantastic job, and we have another one from UF that'll be starting the end of August. So hopefully this one will be able to come to some of our meetings, and you guys will be able to meet her. And
If she could come, she should come with me. We might, change her career path.
Maybe. See, they are all political science majors, so they probably like it. The farmers market, like I said, they got a grant. I will be going to a grant meeting in September to go over the details of the grant for the fresh access bucks, and that's where they match what SNAP recipients receive. So this is a fantastic one. We'll also be meeting with community members and community partners and letting them know that if SNAP recipients come and use it, they can get double the money at the farmers market. So for, if they spend $10, they get $10 additional dollars paid by this grant. $20, $20 additional. And it's $20 per person in the household per day. So this will really help our vendors, and it'll really help the SNAP recipients as well. And that is all that I have.
Very good.
Where are we with the pavilion? Are we anywhere with the pavilion?
Denny?
We got a nice picture of it. Nice artist rendering.
I I have been getting a lot of concerns from the vendors about the pavilion, so yes, I will be checking into that as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right, very good.
And that's all I have.
Does any other member have any questions or anything they'd like to bring up or report on? If not, I do have to have a motion to adjourn at the meeting. I'm learning, man.
Motion to
Something
adjourn.
new every day.
But you don't need a second.
Yeah, motion to adjourn. Meeting adjourned.